Inside the King Salman's 1.5 trillion empire. The Saudi royal family is one of the wealthiest families on the planet. However, the family comprises numerous mega-wealthy, backstabbing princes who currently rule politics in the Middle East. His Majesty King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who played host to Donald Trump during his first trip to the Middle East, is the acting ruler of the nation and the owner of more than 1.4 trillion in cash and assets belonging to the family. How did King Salman acquire all this wealth, and how does he spend it? King Salman is one of the 36 sons that have survived out of a total of 45 male descendants and numerous daughters that were born to Abdulaziz ibn Saud, who is considered the founder king of modern Saudi Arabia. Massive petroleum reserves were found under Ibn Saud's reign, and those reserves continued to provide income for the heirs of the Saudi throne. Many of the Saudi princes, including the grandsons and great-grandsons of King Ibn Saud, have been sighted vacationing in opulent resorts in France and Spain. When it comes to financial resources, very few people and even organizations can compete with the House of Saud, while contemporary CEOs or magnates of luxury brands can afford to have their brands discussed worldwide. This family, particularly the king, can afford to buy million-dollar yachts and everything golden. No other royal family in the world can compare to the wealth of the Saudi royal family. It is believed that this family may be the wealthiest family on earth. However, today we are going to focus on the king himself. King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud lived a life of luxury from the beginning and was his father's favorite son and one of the most respected children in the royal family. He spent his childhood in Marubra Mansion, an illustrious palace that had been rehabilitated and turned into a spectacle. At the time, it had 2 levels and 32 rooms, servants' quarters, lush gardens, ornate sculptures, and the only power and telephones in all of Saudi Arabia. King Solomon pursued formal education to broaden his intellectual skills, but he did not attend just any ordinary institution. His father established a special institution known as the Prince's School, solely to educate the king's son and the children of influential business people. Imagine having enough money to construct an entire school solely to educate your child until he or she reaches the age of 19. King Salman took his first job in the kingdom in 1954. After that, in 1963, he was elevated to the position of the deputy governor, and in 1967, he was appointed governor of the province, with his tenure in that role lasting a total of 48 years. During that period, he was instrumental in helping transform the country from a little desert to a bustling city that it is now. He coordinated the construction of most of the city's museums and high-end enterprises to attract wealthy tourists to the area. During this time, he was also keen on cultivating healthy partnerships with Europe, which further helped to stabilize financial conditions. In 2011, he was appointed to the position of Second Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, the latter of which would later be the source of much of the controversy surrounding his power, which only increased once he was crowned king in 2015. Now, as King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud has never been put in a position where he needed anything. At this point, he gets it all. The House of Saud has built 12 breathtakingly beautiful palaces for whoever sits on the throne. Of these 12 palaces, the 3 that are considered to be the most extravagant are the Al Yama Palace in Riyadh, the Outer Palace in Adi Durya, and the luxurious Ergan Palace, which is now known as the Al Yamama Palace and serves as the official residence of King Salman bin Abdulaziz. King Solomon's opulent taste can most clearly be seen in the interiors. The palace's exterior is modern and elegant, with a classic Arabic design that flawlessly blends geometric elements and pointed arched windows. The palace also features a beautiful courtyard. There are so many magnificent chandeliers in the palace that each could be considered a showpiece. Some of these chandeliers are adorned with luxurious rugs, ornate antiques, and lots of gold. It's reported that any time King Salman becomes tired of the extravagant nature of this palace, he moves to the older and more straightforward Urga Palace. Even though the architecture of this palace is older and more conventional, Saudi Arabian in nature, it features stunning carvings on its walls, as well as black and white photographs of Riyadh. Don't be fooled by the fact that there is less gold here compared to Al Yamama. The value is just as high. Because it is one of the oldest palaces, the castle is extremely valuable. On the other hand, the Ergo Palace serves as a subtle reminder that the King Salman has more than enough money to construct many replicas of Al Yamama's magnificence as His Majesty wishes. The Ergo Palace is where the majority of the king's official guests are received. Back in 2015, the newly crowned king, His Majesty, welcomed former President Barack Obama inside this palace for a meeting. Almost everything was priceless. There was even a golden tissue dispenser. If you think covering a whole palace with gold was excessive, what about outfitting an entire fleet of airplanes with the same precious metal? King Salman has a Boeing 787, an Airbus A340, two Boeing 747s, several other 777s, and an Airbus A340. The Royal Boeing 747 is a commercial airline modified specifically for the king, turning it into a levitatable, opulent paradise in the air. This flying monster is one of the largest aircrafts in the world, and it has room for more than 600 people, but only the king flies in it. It is said to include everything from a throne chamber to conference rooms, restrooms, and gold-plated beds. But there is no official video of the interior for security reasons. The average price tag for a bird of this size is $100 million, excluding the customization it got. The total maintenance cost of all planes is more than $2 billion annually. And even if you think that's a lot, it's a pittance compared to what the king shells out for his various official vacations. When the king traveled to Washington, D.C. on a diplomatic mission, he booked all 222 rooms at the luxurious Four Seasons Hotel. The king ordered complete redirection of the hotel, instructing the staff to change anything that wasn't gold into gold. And when he arrived, the hotel was completely transformed. Everything from the tables, mirrors, lights, and even the hat rack were brought from Saudi Arabia via direct flight. In addition, the carpets were changed out with red ones. In 2017, King Salman embarked on various diplomatic missions that took him from Russia to Indonesia. Every travel was full of opulence, and as was to be expected, a hefty amount of funding was provided for the king's visit to Russia. Most of his belongings, including 1,764 pounds of food, carpets, and furnishings, were brought with him. The most interesting feature was the golden escalator that King Salman had installed in his airplane. The king spent millions of dollars on each reservation, which is an incredibly insignificant amount for a king. After spending the day in Morocco, King Salman continued his trip to Russia, where he spent over $100 million and rented 200 automobiles for his travel. Due to the possibility of a problem with luggage, King Salman rented a Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft from the Royal Netherlands Air Force for $14 million. The military aircraft was primarily designed to transport tanks and other heavy freight over great distances. However, the monarch converted it to carry his luggage and to transport a Mercedes-Benz S600, which served as the king's official vehicle for travel. Then, to ensure that his staff had a place to stay, he made reservations for nearly 1,200 rooms at some of the finest hotels. In addition to that, he placed an order for an additional 500 limousines for everyone's transportation needs. King Salman was accompanied by 100 bodyguards, each of whom had a potential hourly rate of $3,500. In addition, he was escorted by at least 1,500 other individuals, including 25 princes, 10 ministers, and other dignitaries. They all arrived before the monarch in 36 different planes over the course of 3 weeks, and the combined net worth of those who were a part of his entourage alone was in the tens of billions of dollars. The king had very specific demands when it came to luxurious living. His most notable request was to have a unique restroom built for him to use while he was visiting a mosque, and we can also imagine that it was covered in gold. It is also said that the strain caused by his demands was so great it required 572 people from the air freight company that was in charge of his transit to manage his cargo alone. That's all from this video. What can you do with all this wealth if given a chance to be king for a day? Let us know your thoughts about that. Please make sure to watch our other video, Inside Dubai's Most Luxurious Family, which will be shown in the following screen. See you in the next one. Adios!